Hey guys, we have some upcoming class tuning on the weekly reset. They do include elemental shaman stuff. They say buffs here, but we'll talk about this in a second. And there are some enhanced changes as well that they didn't mention in the title. So pretty interesting stuff. We got some tank, uh, holy paladin, 10% light of dawn buff, prop paladin, don't really care. So here's some meaty stuff right here. Lightning bolt, 10% buff, does not apply to PvP. Lava burst, 6%, does not apply to PvP. So these first four things here just don't apply to PvP, which is fine. But the annoying thing about this is like, yeah, none of this stuff needed buffed in PvP. But like, why does it always feel like it's only Shaman that ever gets this stuff? You know, like other classes, like for Hunter, for instance, like here's the bow changes they got. So they're nerfing the bow you can get from the raid, which a lot of people don't even use in arena because they probably haven't even looted it or even do raiding, and so they're just using the 424 bow, and they're getting all these buffs as compensation for losing that, but they're applying to PvP as well. So 25% Serpent Sting, 100% Death Chakram for all hunters, 25% Kill Command, 25% Barb Shot, 25% Stomp, 50% Cobra Shot. Then Marksman's getting 25% Arcane Shot, 15% Multi-Shot. Like, why is this not being, does not apply to PvP, but then like this stuff, which is like 6%, does not apply to PvP? You know what I mean? Like, how does this happen to shamans, but this doesn't happen to hunters? And I'm telling you right now, hunters are going to be fucking gods if none of this stuff is like just for PvE. They're already very strong, and if these changes go live and there's even more buffs for them down below, they're just going to be ridiculous. Like, you're just going to want to reroll hunters at that point, especially if you're doing dedicated threes, because every single comp is going to have hunter and probably ass a rogue. The next things are kind of cool though. So Ice Fury damage is increased by 80%, which is really nice because Ice Fury by itself, this isn't talking about the Frost Shock buff. This is the actual Ice Fury when you use it. It didn't really do a whole lot, and so adding 80% to that feels nice because now it feels like you're actually getting something out of the Ice Fury. Ice Fury causes Frost Shock to generate 14 Maelstrom, up from 8. This is a huge change. This is almost 50% more Maelstrom. Like that's a lot of Maelstrom. You figure if you use 4 Frost Shocks, just from using your Frost Shocks, you're going to get, what, 56 Maelstrom? That's enough for an Earth Shock, just from your Frost Shocks, and your Frost Shocks are hitting pretty hard. Which, that's another thing too. Look, Frost Shock damage is increased by 15%. So this is your base Frost Shock damage. So this is getting buffed by 15%, and then your Ice Fury, which is hitting harder, buffs your Frost Shocks by 225%. So you're going to be generating more Maelstrom. They're going to be hitting harder on both your Frost Shock and your Ice Fury. So I was already running the Ice Fury build before. Now I'm really interested in seeing how well this will perform. And this actually might be a very strong force to be reckoned with, because Ice Fury is off this magic school of all your other abilities. So like your Primordial Wave Burst, Ice Fury is frost, so it's not going to be interrupted with your Primordial Wave Burst or vice versa. So I very much welcome this change. I think this is going to be really fun to use. It'll give people a break from using Stormkeeper so much too. And maybe it'll kind of mix people up and they won't expect it as much. And maybe it'll help out our damage a bit more. Which, I mean, it's kind of weird that they're even doing stuff like this. I'm glad they're trying to balance out our builds. But it sucks when, like, every time you see a Shaman change, it's like always about damage. It's never about like our survivability or our mobility or our totems that just get one shot or don't work at all. I mean, they did add like one change that's coming up with totemic projection not working, but I mean, some of these bugs for Shaman are just fucking game breaking, man. Like, if you're restoration, I feel really bad for you because totemic projection doesn't work. Your spirit link doesn't work half the time. Every time you place like a grounding or something to help your team, it just gets deleted instantly. You place a Sky Fury to buff your team, just gets deleted. It's like, why don't we see changes like that? It's always like damage, 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 damage. But Gladiator's Distinction, the stamina bonus is increased by 40%. which this is nice, but I mean, this, first of all, this isn't a lot of stamina. This isn't like giving you 40% health or something. This is 40% of the stamina bonus. So it's, I don't know, maybe like 10k health or something like that, maybe even less. The problem isn't really the health anymore. The problem is that like some healers are just getting dampened, and this is because of the dampening effect that is already present in arena, but then it's also because of all these ridiculous MS effects, and it's just like impossible to heal through anything, and you're constantly having to spend all of your mana as a healer to keep everyone alive. And so games a lot of times don't even end because you just die from like maybe a burst or a well set up CC or something. A lot of times it's just because your healer just can't heal you anymore. And that's really sad to see, because I mean, it makes it more boring in threes because now people just have to constantly try to drink. And in solo shuffle, it's even worse because your healers can't drink. So then as soon as your healer runs out of mana, it's just like, well, the other healer has mana. Looks like we lost. And it really sucks when it comes down to something like the healer's mana. I actually had a really bad game where whoever had the Disc Priest basically lost because the Disc Priest always ran out of mana, and you just ran around the fucking arena until he ran out of mana. And that was boring as fuck. It made me want to die inside. So this isn't really the issue, and I've been talking about MS effects for a long time and how annoying they are and why I wish they just didn't exist in the game. Because when you have stuff like that, all these modifiers, it just makes things it just makes everything so much more difficult to balance. Because now you have these dampening effects in arena. You have to watch the healer's mana. You have MS effects, and it's like everything is affecting like how much damage you take or how much health you get. And so you can't like balance anything appropriately, because it's like, well, if you balance this thing, it's going to make this comp stronger just passively because of their MS effects. Like, if you don't have a class with an MS effect, especially if you're doing like dedicated threes or something, you're just already shit out of luck, because you can't dampen. You can't really get these strong kills because they're going to be able to get healed a lot. And it's really stupid, because Blizzard is trying to push this whole agenda and rating and stuff about having class identity and making sure you can bring one of each class at least. And it's really stupid to see them like almost trying to do the same thing in arena, because it's like at most you're going to have 3 people. And when you're like, you have to juggle all these classes, and like half the classes have MS and half the classes don't. It really sucks as a class that doesn't have an MS effect. Like, imagine if every time an elemental shaman used lava burst on you, you just instantly got 40% less healing. Like, to me that sounds fucking insanely broken, but classes have this for their abilities. Like Mortal Strike from a warrior that already hits you for like 100k plus now applies something on you that reduces the healing you take. And especially as a class that has the worst healing in the game, like Elemental Shaman, where you can heal 4 times and not even heal half your health bar without an MS effect, and you're out of mana now, and you can't even reapply your Earth Shield. It really sucks for classes like us. Now, Hunters, improved kill shot, now increases kill shot's critical strike damage by 15%, was 25%, so this is a 10% nerf. Razor Fragments increases kill shots damage by 40, was 50, so another 10%. But they got buffed in Arcane Shot and Chimera Shot by 15%. Now, the problem with this is when someone uses an execute on you, a lot of times they're going to be getting overkill, because if you're in range of an execute ability, chances are you're going to die. Even if the kill shot doesn't kill you, you're going to be so close to death that the next global will kill you. And so, like, if you die from a kill shot because it was hitting too strong, there's overkill damage on that. And I'm not sure if 10 plus, so 20% kill shot damage, if you take into account the overkill, like, would it even matter, you know? It's like if someone kills you by 20%, you nerf it 20%, you're still dead. Even if it was 20% less than that, then it's like, okay, well, I'm still alive, but really I'm still not, because the very next ability that hits me, I'm dead again anyways. And so I don't know. Execute abilities, I feel like, are also a problem. I've never really liked execute abilities. I've always thought they've been horrible for the game. Like, I mean, you have healers like priests and monks, touch of death and fucking shadow word death, and they'll just kill someone for like I've seen them hitting for like 100k from a healer for an execute ability. Like, how bad is that? Imagine if a comp had a marksman, hunter, arms warrior, and like a disc priest or a monk. It's like all three of them would use an execute on you. Like, how are you supposed to live that, you know? And I just think it's really bad design. I hate the idea of executes. Maybe they could change it so only one execute could be used on you. And it kind of shares like an aura with your team so that no one else can use it. I don't know. But then that brings in a whole other bag of issues. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts though. Windwalker, their Touch of Karma now redirects 105% of absorbed damage instead of 70%. So basically, when a monk uses Touch of Karma and it puts a dot on you, and whatever damage you do to them, basically 70% of the damage that you would do to them would get applied as a dot to you. And now they're buffing it to 105%. And I really feel like monk is in a weird spot. It's like, if you're at the high skill level of a windwalker, you can pull off a lot of really slick shit and you can live pretty well. But if you're like a bad monk, then you're gonna have a pretty rough time and die a lot. It's kind of like Shaman in a sense, except now you're in like melee range. Even though you have more defensives, you're gonna be taking more damage. So they're kind of similar to Shaman in that aspect, but I mean, monk does insane damage, whereas like enhancement or something really only has burst, no sustained damage. But so it's kind of frustrating for me as a elemental shaman to see more melee buffs like this, because now it's like, oh great, now I'm tempted to want to just sit for the entire time of karma, which is like 8 seconds or something. It's like, oh boy, now there's even more stuff to prevent me from doing damage or from doing something. But like, I feel like monks actually did need this, but I feel like they need to try to level out the skill cap of Windwalker. I'm not sure exactly what needs to be done. Maybe increase their passive damage reduction and reduce some of their cooldowns a bit. Maybe that would help. So like, I'm kind of two-sided on this. It's nice that they're getting some survivability help, but for casters, this is just more pain. Assassination, hemotoxin, healing reduction effect reduced to 30, was 35%. It's pretty fucking dumb, honestly. Only 5%. MS effects, like, are just dog shit for this game. I wish MS effects just didn't exist. I think having stuff like this is just horrible. So, especially when it's only getting nerfed 5% on something that's extremely easy to apply during insane bursts that can already like basically one shot you. So I don't know. Dispatch damage is increased by 15%. That's fine. I don't know. I don't really see a whole lot of outlaw rogues, but I mean, if they're like any other rogue spec, they're just stupid anyway, so who gives a shit, right? Enhancement. Converging storms increases storm strike damage by 10% per stack, was 25%. So this is kind of, I don't know. Lava Lash, damage increased by 15%, and then Storm Strike and Wind Strike, 20%. So they're buffing consistent damage while reducing the burst, which, I don't know. Honestly, I think this might even be an overall nerf, because, yeah, they're reducing the burst and compensating with sustained damage, but, I mean, Storm Strike hits for, like, fucking less than 10k. You're buffing something that barely hits for any damage by 20%. And I don't know, I just don't really feel like this is gonna compensate it enough as much as they think. Maybe some of you enhanced shamans down below can let me know like what you guys think about these changes. Maybe it is an overall buff, I don't know, but I feel like the only thing Enhanced really had going for it was its burst, because its sustained damage is dog shit. I mean, they're competing with healers a lot of games for damage, and their only thing that they really had was their burst, because they don't have survivability, they don't have mobility, they don't have sustained damage, they don't have defensives, they don't have they literally have nothing but their burst, and that's what they nerfed. So I don't know. I don't really think this is gonna do anything. If anything, it'll make it worse for him. Again, it's like, why does Enhance get changes like this, but then Marksman, like all the hunter specs, are just getting all those other changes? It's like, what the fuck? Fury Warriors, Rampage increased by 15%, Execute damage increased by 10%. And this is kind of funny to read, because it says Fury Warriors offensive pressure has been notably lower than we would like. Again, like, our Warrior has a very good spec right now. It's arms. Having another melee spec like be viable isn't completely necessary. I mean, obviously you want to try to balance specs as much as possible, but when you have a spec like Enhancement that is just extremely underperforming, I don't understand why they're not like helping Enhancement more. You know, like why does Fury get some really big help, but Enhance really isn't? Because these changes don't really do anything. These changes do something. But I mean, Fury Warriors have been lacking, but I'm not really sure if Fury is even really that bad, or if it's just because arms is just better and everyone's just like, oh yeah, run arms because it's better, you know. Whereas everyone kind of knows like Elemental's better than Enhancement, but like they have completely different play styles. You know, one's a caster, one's a melee, whereas arms and Fury are both melee, and they're like a lot of times interchangeable. So I'm not sure if that's a difference or if they're just really that bad, but I don't know. I just hate seeing fucking melee buffs all the time, because it's already so fucking rough for casters, man. It's so hard to get off anything in PvP as a caster. Like me just trying to cast a hex, it's like you'll sit there and you'll try to juke a kick, and then for like 3 fucking times, because the melee is not even like trying to kick you. And then like the one time you actually try to, they'll kick you, or if you do get the juke, they'll stun you or something, or they'll like CC you. I don't know, they'll do some kind of bullshit. It's just it's really rough to see so many like anti-caster changes. Like Windwalker, Asa Rogue barely got any fucking nerf. Fury buffs. Even if Enhance got buffed, that'd still be more melee buffs. Marksman, like all hunters are buffed, which is anti-caster because they don't have to cast anything, especially Beast Mastery. The only real caster buffs we got here was for our Ice Fury, but I mean, like, we already have our Stormkeeper build, and Ice Fury was kind of decent before, but I mean, it's nice to see these, but it's not addressing the problems. And I feel like as a caster, everything in PvP is just making it harder and harder and harder every single time for casters, and it's just making it super unfun for a lot of people, I think. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. Well, we still got some time before 10.0.7, so if I see anything else, I'll let you guys know.